Hey, how are you doing? It's Alan here from Looking for Warriors, and I just want to talk quickly. I've been going through some skills as part of your Scott Adams skill stack or talent stack that you should learn. You should learn and not learn, or should teach your kids. And these skills, you can learn some and not learn some. But what I want to lay out is 100 useful skills that someone can learn. And then it's like a buffet. You just take which ones you think are interesting. And you can take one and come back 6 months later and take another one, and come back 6 months later and take another one. Because learning is fun, isn't it? So, computer programming. I wanted to talk about computer programming. I heard a Steve Jobs quote. I heard Steve Jobs saying that all kids should learn computer programming. And the reason they should learn is because it changes the way you think. It helps with logic. It helps with how things work. And you're looking under the hood. So everyone uses a computer, almost everyone uses a computer. If you have a phone, you use a computer. But you're looking under the hood of how things work, which is really important. I've personally learned a number of programming languages. I know PHP well, I know some JavaScript, I know some Swift code, and mostly scripting languages. And I don't use them day to day in my job. Sometimes I will, but very, very rarely I use them day to day in my job. HTML, CSS, all that kind of thing. I very rarely use them, but I'm still glad I know them. I think it still adds to me that I know them. And I know what's going on inside a computer. I know how a database works. I know SQL. I know Access. I know Microsoft SQL. I know MySQL. So I kind of understand what's going on under the hood. And my job is around computers. So even when we're building something, I understand why we're building it and what has to go into it, which I think is really important. So some computer programming I think is useful. There's one guy that I think he's great. I think he's so funny. Tech Lead on YouTube. He's really good. I don't think he teaches programming as such. I think he teaches more kind of, if you are a programmer, how to get a job and stuff like that. But there's lots of resources. Skillshare again is, I think, would be the best place to start. There's going to be lots of great courses in there. Now, what I'm going to do is, I think I did a HTML course actually, a refresh HTML course at Skillshare, and I'll do a review of that. But I'll do a review of some programming courses, and I'll pick out one or two that I think are the best, and that it might be a good place to start. But I'm also going to deal with the learning strategy, because it's not enough to go through a course. There's got to be a strategy around grammar, logic, rhetoric, which I'll do in a separate video. But the learning strategy is also really important. It's probably more important than actually doing the course itself. So, computer programming, consider it. And just the last thing I'm going to say, if you're going to do computer programming, probably the most useful one now, because Apple are going to have Silicon Macs, and the iPad is huge. The iPad is just huge. There's no other tablet that can compete with the iPad. And the Silicon Macs are going to be huge as well. So I just think if you are going to learn a programming language, Swift is probably one really useful and fun one to learn. And obviously there's stuff like JavaScript, which is really, really useful as well. And there's the PHP is an important language, and you want to learn a little bit about databases. But if I was going to start somewhere and I didn't know where to start, if you know where to start, just start where you know where to start. But if you don't know where to start, I would definitely consider looking at Swift. You do need a Mac right now so that's €1,000 investment. Well, maybe a second-hand Mac isn't €1,000, maybe it's €400 or €500 or dollars. But that's where I would start personally right now. But you start where you feel is the best place to start. So this has been Alan from Looking for Warriors. Programming, really, really important skill to learn.